Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's podcast, I'm joined by Farmington High School senior Brenna Fuhrman, who is committed to play with Minnesota Duluth next year. Brenna, welcome to the podcast, and thank you so much for coming on. How's everything going?
Thank you. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing well. The weather's nice today. It's been pretty bad weather for the last 2 days here in New England, so I'm glad there's some sunlight to experience today.
Yes, for sure.
Now, for college hockey fans that have never seen you play, describe your game to them and what do you hope to bring to Minnesota Duluth next year?
Yeah, I'm a very small, Division I commit. So I think that I'm going to bring some good speed to the group. I'm also really physical as a player. And defensively, I'm really solid, but I also create some great opportunities up front to score and get scoring chances going. But yeah, I see the ice well, and I'm excited to join the UMD Bulldogs.
Yeah, and obviously the WCHA is one of the more physical conferences in college hockey. How do you plan to get used to that adjustment?
Yeah, this summer I've been working out a bunch. I'm starting actually this spring to work out in the weight room and just get strong on my skates and get some muscle to my body so I can push girls around and not let them push me around. So
Yeah, definitely. And I was telling you this before we start recording, how I'm excited to have you on the podcast just because I want to bring some light to some of the new recruits that are coming into college hockey next year. So, is there anything defensively that people might not notice about your game that you would like to explain here?
um yeah. Defensively, I think that it's pretty hard to get around me because I'm pretty well at riding girls off to the side and not let them cut to the middle and get a shot opportunity. And it's very rare that you're gonna come around me and dangle me because my feet are pretty good. But yeah, I think that it's pretty tough to get around me. But yeah, that's about it.
Yeah, yeah. And what's your recruiting process? What was your recruiting process like, and why did you choose to go to University of Minnesota Duluth?
Yeah, my recruiting process started probably when I was in 10th grade, I think the summer of 10th grade, and it was very interesting. It started off just a few colleges coming in, and then I played in a tournament called Boston Beantown, and that's kind of when all the East Coast colleges were looking at me, and I got some calls out there and visited a few out there. And then right when Elite League came around that fall is kind of when UMD reached out to me, and right as they reached out to me, I kind of was like in awe because I've always loved UMD. I've always had youth tournaments up there, and it's just an awesome place. Just just the vibes there. I just love it. It's up north. It's far enough from home, but not too far. And you're playing in the WCHA and you're playing in Minnesota. And I don't know, just something about that. It got me. And just the coaches are awesome. Just such great girls. And I'm excited to be able to play for them.
Yeah, and you committed when you were going through the recruitment process when you're in 10th grade. I guess, did you face any adversity getting noticed by schools? Because that, believe it or not, is kind of a late time to get recruited by schools for some players in Minnesota.
Yeah, I did face a little bit, kind of, I guess, because not really though. I kind of took it slow because I wanted to make sure I was completely sure about my commitment. So I just kind of took it slow and didn't want like anything to go wrong. So I just took it step by step, made sure I liked everything about this college and everything about the hockey program. But I don't remember facing any adversity, which was pretty
Hmm.
good.
Yeah, and have you been watching any college hockey this year?
Yes, I have. I watched them in the Frozen Four. Tough loss to Northeastern. I'm bummed about that, but I'm excited to come in, and we're hopefully gonna make it to the Final Four and maybe make it a little further. But yeah, they had a great season. Um, but I'm just so excited to add to the team. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, what's something you noticed about watching your future team when you were watching college hockey this year? Anything you noticed about some of their offense and some of their defense as well?
Yes, I did notice. Obviously, we have such a great group of forwards. Like a shout out to Gabby Hughes. I think she's just such an awesome player. She knows how to get to the net and get the job done. And along with Ashton Bell, she's a great defenseman. And I know she's returning next year. And I kind of look up to her. She's so awesome. She's such a forward-minded defenseman, but she just can see the ice really well, and she creates really good scoring opportunities as a defenseman. And I kind of look up to her.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, and something else that I found interesting for the players coming into college hockey next year was the seniors this year have the chance to return to their teams for next year since they get an extra year of eligibility. Does that affect your
yeah.
roster size at all, or do they just expand the roster size? I'm just curious about that.
I think it just expands the roster size, but obviously I'm still gonna have to work for my spot. I'm gonna have to put extra work in this summer to try to win over a spot there. So
And what was your reaction when you found out Duluth was making it to the Frozen Four? Because we all saw that awesome video they put out on their social media. I guess what was your reaction to that?
I, yes, I was so pumped up for them. It was so awesome to see all of them jumping around, and I don't know. I just had pure joy on my face and everything. I was super pumped and couldn't wait to watch them play. So
Yeah, and what do you think will be the biggest adjustment you have to make to college hockey next year, just watching some of the games?
I think my biggest adjustment is probably going to be my strength and just out of the gate speed. Those girls obviously all year workout and everything, and I just think that with my size I need to keep getting bigger and bigger so that I can push girls around and not let those girls push me around, and I can stay on my feet and get a better shot from the point so that girls can see the puck and tip it and everything. So I think that's my biggest thing I need to get better at. So
Now, I'm curious about this. Was there 3-on-3 overtime this year in your high school hockey season?
oh yeah, no, there wasn't. It was 5-on-5.
hmm So I guess, like, how do you plan to adjust to the new 3-on-3 overtime that was introduced to college hockey this past year?
Yeah, I think I just need to kind of realize that there's a lot more space out there, and maybe be a little more patient because obviously 5-on-5 you don't got much time, but with 3-on-3 there's just so much more time and so much more space. So just maybe relax in a little bit and like have some confidence and use your speed and your ability to pull players towards you and dish the puck off to your teammates and just create give and goes, and just just being able to realize that there's a lot more space out there and utilize that. So
Yeah, do you
yeah.
think you have to be a little more defensively minded in those 3-on-3 overtime situations? Because obviously possession of the puck is key in those overtime situations. So if you make one little defensive mistake, it can cause an odd man rush for the other team. Is that something you're going to have to work on or hoping to work on next year, or for this
Yes,
offseason, I should say?
sure. I think that's huge. Yeah, for sure. We're gonna have to make sure that we can't mess up or anything on the blue lines or anything to create odd man rushes. That's huge because it's only 3-on-3, and it's easy to, if you mess up, there's gonna be an odd man rush. So
Now, what does your training look like so far? What are you trying to work on?
yeah, so some goals I've set for myself is to get a better shot from the point. Maybe not just looking for a shot, maybe looking for the player's back door or anything like that. I've been working on my speed, my out of gate speed, and winning those races to the puck. Um, I think mostly the biggest thing is probably my strength, considering I'm a little bit smaller. So I've been in the gym a lot lately. I'm trying to hit it 4 days a week or every week, and I think that's about it.
Yeah, anything you're doing on the ice to work on as well besides in the weight room?
Yes, I've been working on my skating, obviously, because it's kind of one of my one of my strengths as a player. But you always got to work on your strengths because your strengths is who you makes you as a player. And so I've been working on my skating a lot, and then also I've been working on my hands because you can never have good enough hands.
Hmm.
So
Are you going to plan to do any cool shootout moves in practice or during a game when you have the opportunity to?
yeah, I've been working on I'm working on a few moves. I don't quite got them down yet, but we're still working on
Nice. Which one are you working on? You work on the Pavel Datsyuk one where you like moves the goalie to
them.
one side and then he pokes the other stick through the other side with the empty net.
Yep, I have been working on that one actually.
Nice, nice. How's it going
Yep.
for you?
I've scored a few times, but I gotta get down a little bit better.
It's just it's about consistency and luck too, because
Yep.
sometimes it doesn't work out because you have to face some really good goalies. But I think it would work out for you. I'm looking forward to see that when the opportunity comes.
Yep.
Now, what are your goals and expectations for yourself next year and for your team?
Um, I think as a team, my goals are probably obviously to make it to the Final Four, but I would love to have like us make it even further than they did this year, make to that championship game because I really do think that we can make it. The girls there are already amazing, and the freshman class coming in this year just adds to it. And it should be fun to see us play because I'm really excited to see how we click and everything. For myself, my goals, I think my goals are I want to try to play first, second line. I want to be a huge contributor to the UMD program, and I think it would be really cool if I was first, second line. But yeah, those are my goals for myself and my team.
Yeah, no, I was talking to some of the players that were on the Frozen Four team this past year, and they were saying how that overtime goal that was scored by Northeastern really motivated them for this year. How excited are you to get joining with that group, and do you think you're going to be just as motivated them as well, even though you weren't even part of the game?
Yes, I will be just as motivated as them. I'm super excited to add to the defensive power because we already have a great defensive group. And just seeing that is kind of heartbreaking, seeing the goal and everything. And it just motivates me to not let that happen next year.
Is there any particular road arena you're looking forward to playing?
What was that?
Is there any particular road arena you're looking forward to playing next year?
I'm kind of looking forward to playing the U because they always have a great crowd and I don't know. It's just something about the rivalry. It's so fun. I love going to watch those games, and I'm just excited to play there. I love
Yeah,
playing
definitely.
against the rivalry. So
Are you excited to go to LeBron next year, especially playing the defending national championships, especially in that environment as well, because LeBron's one of the
yeah,
best college hockey arenas as well.
yes, I'm super excited to go play there. And Wisconsin's a great team, and I'm super excited. They always have a great crowd, and it should be a really good game. So.
And as a defenseman, is there any forward you're looking forward to go up against in a game or during practice? I know you mentioned Gabby Hughes, but is there someone else who doesn't play for Duluth that you're looking forward to play against as well?
Um, I'm looking forward to playing against like on an opposite team.
Yeah.
Probably Abby Murphy because I played with her at the under 18 championship, and she's just such a funny person, and the way she plays is just unreal, and it's a challenge to stop her, to be honest. Like she's such a great player, and I look forward to like play against her and stuff. So.
Now, have you gotten the chance to meet any of your freshman class, and when do you think you're going to Duluth to prepare for this upcoming season?
Yeah, I actually grew up with some of the freshman girls coming in. Gabby Kraus, I grew up with her. She used to come to Farmington. And then Jenna Laurie, I met. We play hockey all year round, kind of together. And then Hannah Baskin as well. We've been playing together since we were probably 12 years old, maybe something like that. So I'm really excited to go in and with those girls because they're just such an awesome group of girls. But the East Coast girls, I don't really know them that well, but I'm really excited to get to know them because they just seem super sweet and fun girls. So
Yeah, and do you know when you're going to Duluth to prepare for
yeah,
next year?
I believe we're going in probably August, beginning
Nice.
or mid of August.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah, no, that's coming up quickly, which is pretty crazy to think about.
yeah, I know. I'm super excited.
Now, I want to transition a little bit and talk about the beginning of your hockey career. So, you're from Farmington, Minnesota. How did you start playing hockey, and what made you fall in love with the sport?
Um, to be honest, it's kind of a weird story, but I grew up. My mom put me in dance to start, and I was always trying to fake sick out of those recitals and everything, and I would always go to my brother's games and just absolutely be like, "Mom, I really want to play hockey. Like, I don't want to play dance anymore." So she suited me up for hockey, and I started at probably U8s, and just the girls there, they made me fall in love with the sport. They were so much fun, and just being out on the ice and skating around was just, it's when I fell in love with it.
And who was your favorite player growing up?
My favorite player growing up, was probably Lise Steckline, because I would always go to their games when they were playing at the U, and I would just absolutely love her because she was just always like the biggest girl on the ice, the tallest girl on the ice, and she was a defenseman, and I don't know, I just love the way she played.
Mm-hmm.
So,
And you're from Farmington, Minnesota. What's that town like, and what's it like growing up there?
yeah, it's definitely something different other than the cities. It's more of a, I guess, kind of not a hickish town, but it's very chill here. I mean, a lot of farms around here. There's nothing really much to do around here. Going into App Valley is where you got to get your food kind of and stuff like that. But I like it because it's super peaceful out here. And I love to go mocking around here. There's great places to go do that. And I actually love to fish. So going fishing around here is fun too. But yeah, there's not really much around here, but I just love the peace. It's so peaceful down here. And I love that.
That's
So.
cool. That's cool. What's the biggest fish you've ever caught? I'm curious.
It was probably like a northern, and it wasn't very big. If I'm being honest, it was probably like a 26-inch northern. I don't even know, not even. It wasn't very big, but
I'm not a fishing guy, so I'm just curious, but that seems pretty big, I guess. 26 inches. That's pretty wide. So I think it's more than I've ever caught. So kudos to you.
yeah. Thank you.
So now looking back at your high school hockey days, what's been the experience like playing for your hometown team and playing with your hometown teammates as well? Because you grew up playing with those players when you were a young kid, and now you're obviously playing with them now as a senior in high school.
Yeah. Um, Honestly, it's just been so much fun. Like all the girls I grew up with are just like my best friends, my sisters, my family. Like playing with them throughout my whole high school career has been honestly just, I'm so grateful for it. I wouldn't want to go through high school with anyone else because these girls I've grown up with, I know everything about them. Like they're my family,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm really gonna miss them. But I will forever cherish all the memories we've had on the ice and off the ice and everything like that. So.
Now, what were the COVID protocols like playing high school hockey in Minnesota this year? Because I was watching a lot of college hockey, and you can see some of the protocols with no fans in the stands and stuff like that. What were some of the protocols that were different when you played with Farmington compared to the 3 other years without the pandemic going on?
Yeah, so each player got, I think it was like 3 or 4 tickets per game, and then we had to wear masks while we were playing, which was kind of tough, but we had to do what we had to do. So it was, the environment on the ice was kind of a little more quieter because normally we have a decent amount of fans there, and I mean we try to keep the energy up on the bench. I would always tell the girls like keep yelling on the bench, cheering each other on, like keep the energy up, get the vibes going good and everything. But yeah, it was kind of tough to start because it was a little more quiet and not a lot of like cheering on going on. So, I mean, that was tough. And the mask thing was for sure just a really like it was mostly a mental thing. I kind of I obviously really didn't like it, but you know what, you have to deal with it and you got to do it. You got to do what you got to do and got to put your mask up and play. So,
Yeah, at
but
least you got to play though.
overall, it was a good year. So.
Yeah, at least you got to play. I think that's the key thing. But with wearing the mask, I feel like that's difficult because I haven't been playing hockey in quite some time. I'm retired, quote unquote. But playing with the mask, I feel like when you do those bag skates in practice, that seems brutal having that on. Was it an adjustment doing that, or was your coach like nice and like we're not doing any bag skates this year?
Um, you know, to start off, he kind of skated us hard. He would bag skate us a little bit. He would obviously be like, you know what, if you can't breathe, step to the side. But we need to get in shape with these masks because in the game you can't pull the mask down really. I mean, yeah, you can, but you should try to keep it up as much as possible. So he was pretty good about skating us and making sure everyone was fine though. So.
I feel like it would be worse for the goalie because they obviously have the mask on, but then they have the other mask on, so it's probably even harder to breathe in that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Now, you were one of the leaders on the team. I believe you were the captain of the team as well this year. What type of leadership did you want to bring to the team this year, especially during a year where you've never experienced before with all the protocols your team faced and with the unusual season that your team had?
Yeah. This year was very difficult, obviously mentally for everyone. I mean, everyone was kind of already started off kind of down. So the first thing I kind of brought to the table was the energy, keeping the energy up, keeping it fun, and keeping everything light, and not letting them get in their heads about all these little protocols and all of the things that we had to follow. I just said, you know what, girls, hey, be grateful. We're on the ice. We could have been like the baseball seniors last year who didn't even get their last season, So don't take this for granted. We gotta step up and take this year and go with it. You know what I mean? So I mean, bringing that to the table was huge because that kind of got everyone going. But also leading by example was kind of a huge thing. Going into practice and no matter what, putting the effort in and making sure my mask's up, making sure I'm not complaining, obviously, as hard as it was, as much as I could. I would not complain about, the protocols, getting on the ice 10 minutes before the games or, you know what I mean, and getting dressed at home, it sucked, but you got to do what you got to do and you got to lead by example and hopefully the girls will follow along. So,
Yeah, you're more of a vocal or lead by example type of leader. And do you hope to use the leadership skills you learned this past year coming into Duluth for next year?
yeah, I mean, I'm a little vocal, but I think mostly I lead by example because I think that's really important because once your players see you that you're not doing all this stuff and you're not complaining or you're not, you know what I mean, you're following the protocols and you're putting in the effort and you're doing everything great, like they'll follow your step and they'll follow your lead and hopefully they'll keep
Mhm.
doing it. So
Yeah, I think back to the Michael Jordan documentary last year where he was talking about the leadership that he brought to the 90s Bulls team and how he said, like, I never did anything that I never asked my teammates to do. And I think that's a great leadership skill because you can be yelling and screaming at your teammates all you want, but if you're not going to put in the work yourself, then what's the point of even being a leader in the first place?
yeah, exactly. Very true.
Was it weird getting dressed at home? Because I didn't know that. Because usually in college hockey, the locker rooms are kind of spaced out a little bit. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think all of the high school teams had to do it, but I know we did for sure because we do not have a locker room, like a varsity locker room. So yeah, we had to get ready at home. It was a little different. I kind of felt like I was back in like U8s, but we went with it and
Mhm.
it was fine. So
How did you drive? Did you have to drive with the full-on equipment, like just with the helmet and the skates in the passenger seat?
yeah, so we had our helmets and skates and gloves in the passenger seat, and we were driving in our full gear, which was different, but
That's supposed to be funny for someone to see if they don't know what's going on. That's pretty cool though. I
yeah,
I never driven in my full gear, so is it like weird because it's like
yeah. I had to adjust everything, lower my seats, and it was different. It was very different, but
definitely, definitely. Well, thinking back to your time in Farmington, what's been your favorite memory so far, or I guess overall, looking back at it hockey wise?
um, probably my 8th grade year when I was playing. It was like my first year I've ever made it to state, and I was playing on varsity, and we made it to state, and we lost our first game to Edina. And then we won our second game to Forest Lake, and then we were playing Eastview for the what was it, semifinal? No, the consolation championship. Sorry, and just like the environment at that game was absolutely unreal. Like you wouldn't even have known it was like a consolation championship game. It felt like we were in the state championship. Like it was absolutely like the crowd was crazy. Like our bench was crazy. We were all having fun and when I went out there, we were on the power play with like a few minutes left, and I think it was like tied up. I believe it was probably like I think it was like 3-3 or something. And I got the puck at the point, took a shot, and scored. So I got the game winner that game, and we won consolation champs that year. And just that game, I vividly like will always remember because it was just so much fun. The energy during the game was crazy. It felt like it was like unreal. Like, the crowd was crazy, and it was just so fun. I was laughing and had a smile on my face the entire game, no matter what.
What
So,
yeah, and what emotions were going through your head when you scored that goal? Did everything just go like stop for you when you're in that moment just because
yeah,
it's so crazy?
like, everything was just like, I was just like, not like shocked. I was just like, everything was like, oh my gosh. Like, I put that in the net, and I like everything, all the noise was like, I couldn't hear anything. Like, it was like, I don't even know. It was like I was in a dream almost. I mean, it was so awesome because I'm like, I'm just a little eighth grader at this point. Like, you know what I mean? And I don't know, it was just so crazy. And then right after I scored, I just went through the line and absolutely like, it was like I got like sparks in me after that. It was so awesome.
Yeah, straight out of a movie scene. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it
Did
was
you get to
super
keep
awesome.
the puck after the goal?
Yes, I did. I did.
Awesome. Where do you keep it?
I keep it up in my room on my nightstand.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I guess being an eighth grader playing with much older players, was that an adjustment for yourself? And how are you going to use that experience coming into college hockey next year as a freshman? Basically, kind of in a similar experience since you're going against players that are 24, 25 years old.
Yeah, no, yeah, for sure. Yeah, going in as an eighth grader was very different. Obviously, the girls were much stronger and faster than I was. Um, but that's pretty much the adjustment that I had to make is during that eighth grade year, I hit it hard in the gym and shot pucks every day, and I just did the things that would make me better, you know. And I'd eventually, after like halfway through the year, I could even tell that I got a lot better and I could keep up a little bit better. So
Now I'm
yeah.
from Now I'm from the East Coast. So what's the Minnesota high school hockey scene like, and what's it like being a player in that atmosphere? Because I've seen the YouTube clips of the state tournament. It's pretty insane how you guys pack up the XL Center. I can't even imagine that happening here in Massachusetts. So just describe what it's like being a player in that atmosphere and setting, because it's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. It's such a fun atmosphere. Even just during warm ups, skating around and hearing like, so you get the like, for an example, when we played Edina, you got the Edina crowd over there, and you got our crowd Farmington over here, and it's just so fun because the student sections go crazy when there's penalties, goals, like anything. They just go crazy, and it just feels like the game is just like, it just brings so much energy to all the players, and it makes it so much more fun. Um, and I don't know, it's just such an awesome experience. And it's, oh my gosh, it's so fun. Never do I ever have a frown on my face when I'm playing there. It's always smiles and smiles always. It's awesome.
Was it weird talking to some of your teammates in the U18 World Championships that are from the East Coast that just don't get that high school hockey scene?
I mean, yeah, because it's very different. They always would ask, like, how is it? Like, is it really that fun? And I'm like, oh my gosh, like, yes, you guys are kind of missing out. Like, it's really the real deal. Like, it's fun, and it's always a good time no matter what. So,
What's the best chirp you've heard from the student section at those state tournament games? That's pretty, because I've never going to high school games. There's like no chirping going on. It's kind of like a silent experience. I'm curious, like what's some of the stuff that the student section says?
there's they like to say psycho a lot when people get penalties. They'll go psycho, psycho. Um, but I mean, the chirps are kind of, I don't know, they're very different. But my probably favorite one is just psycho because it's just, or they say sieve to the goalie if they let in a really bad goal or something. But yeah, that's probably about it. Those two are probably the ones I hear most.
And what has academics been like for yourself in high school, especially during a pandemic? Because I'm a freshman in college this year, so I'm kind of used to doing the online school format in a college setting. However, for yourself, it's probably a bit different since you've been used to doing high school for 3 years in a normal setting, and now everything had to change all of a sudden your final year there.
Yeah, it's definitely very different. You got to be a lot more vocal with your teachers because you're obviously not in person with them. So, I mean, with me, the biggest thing that I learned is I have to reach out to my teachers. They're not going to reach out to me. You know, if I have questions, I got to set up a Zoom or, you know, things like that. Um, also just probably making sure like everything's in on time and you got everything correct and everything like that. But to be honest, it was a kind of a bit different, but I mean, it didn't really bother me that much because I can communicate with my teachers really well, and it doesn't bother me. So I mean, I kind of liked the distance learning. It wasn't like a huge deal to me, but obviously I'd rather be in person with my teachers.
Yeah.
But no, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was gonna be way worse, but
Yeah, no, for myself, it's been for the most part a positive experience. Obviously, I think the biggest thing I noticed is like whenever you have a question, like after class, you have to email your professor, and it's kind of hard because sometimes it can take a while for them to respond back to a basic question. So I guess
yeah.
that's like the biggest thing that I've had to adjust to with the new online
Mhm.
setting of learning.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Do you enjoy the Zoom breakout rooms? I don't know if they do that in high school, but it's pretty brutal in college.
Um, yeah, no, I don't really enjoy them.
Hmm.
I would rather just have like a one-on-one with my teacher, but that's like kind of a lot to ask for. Um, I think the biggest thing is I don't know. I think that I mean, there's a lot of students that are on the Zooms maybe like just messing around or something, which is kind of annoying. Um, but no, I don't really enjoy the Zooms. I'd rather just have a one-on-one so we can get to the
Yeah.
point and kind of get what we have to do out instead of having to take attendance and do all this. But
Well, at
well,
least
that's
in Well, at least in high school, you know some of your classmates. Because for myself, I've never really met anyone who goes to my college, so it's super awkward when you go in those breakout rooms because you don't know who
yeah,
anyone is, and you have to get work done and for order for participation for a grade. So that's, I guess, like that's the difference that I feel like I would like if I were
yeah,
still in high school.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Now, what's your graduation going to look like? I'm curious about that. We didn't get one really, so I'm curious what they're doing for you guys.
Yeah, I believe we're doing it outside and we'll have the chairs 6 feet apart or 3 feet apart, whatever. And we'll probably have to wear our masks and stuff. But I think it's gonna be just a kind of just a COVID
Mhm.
graduation. So
Is it crazy that your high school days are almost over? I don't know when you're graduating, but it's pretty crazy. That's like a few weeks away. You're going to be done with everything.
yeah, yeah, it's so crazy. It felt like yesterday I was literally in 8th grade or 9th grade or whatever. But yeah, it flew by way too fast and I don't know, it's just crazy to like think that I'm actually a senior this year.
Are you happy to leave? Or are you looking forward to leave? Or are you going to miss a little bit of high school? Because for myself, I was looking forward to get out of the school, but I know some people have made a lot of good friends and have a lot of good teachers as well. So you're going to miss that aspect of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm gonna miss all these girls, but I'm really looking forward to college. Like I'm
Mhm.
so excited to meet all these girls on the hockey team and kind of get a new friend group going. So
Definitely, definitely. Well, I want to transition a little bit and talk about the U18 World Championships that you were part of last year. You won a gold medal. Talk about that experience and what was that like for yourself?
yeah, it was a like dream come true. It was seriously the coolest thing that I've ever been like in. It was awesome. Like as soon as um Shannon put the puck in the net and everyone went crazy. It was like I was in a dream. It felt like we were in a movie. It was crazy. And there was a decent crowd there, so the fans were cheering and it was so awesome.
Hmm.
It was unbelievable.
What's it like playing hockey in Slovakia? And was that the first time you ever been to Europe?
That was the second time I've been to Sweden and Finland. But yeah, it was definitely different. Just because like I knew it was for like our the hockey wasn't just for fun. It was a huge deal, you're not just playing for something like that's not really important. You're playing for your country. You're playing for something bigger than yourself. Like so it was definitely very nerve-wracking, but it was exciting. It was super fun and exciting, and just I was so honored to be able to play out there with all these great girls, and I will never take this experience or anything for granted.
Was there anything cool you got to do in Slovakia? And what's the country like? I'm curious about that.
Yeah, we got to go to these winter like they were these, oh gosh, what were they? they were like these winter shops that were outside all around, and it was like this huge, like, I don't even know, it was like a winter wonderland festival kind of thing. And there was a bunch of shops with like ornaments and like food shops and like, oh my gosh, it was so cool. And just seeing like all the buildings are just so much older and stuff than back in the US, and just like the atmosphere there is very different. Um, but it was so fun, and yeah, it was amazing. It's so beautiful there. Seeing all the buildings, they're so cool. So cool.
Yeah, and what's it like representing your country and wearing that USA jersey just because, there's so much history and pride that goes with that?
Yeah, it's such an honor, and I couldn't be happier to been through like I've been through that with all those girls. Like they're all amazing girls, and being able to put that USA jersey on honestly gave me the chills the first time I put it on. Like I put it on and it was like, oh my gosh, like this is real. And you know what I mean? And playing in those games was crazy. I can't even explain it. Getting on the ice, I was obviously really nervous, but once we got on, I was super excited because we're playing for our country. We're playing to win. We're not playing for fun, or like we're playing for fun, but we're also playing to win and get the job done. And it was awesome. It was so fun.
What's the selection process like, and where did you find out you were going to Slovakia? Like, what was your reaction to that? Where were you when you found out? Just talk about that whole process of making the team.
So right after like Placid, they would say they were gonna send out an email of when we would get a call if we made it or not. And they sent it out, and that day they were like, "Yep, you should expect a call, and they're gonna call you and tell you whether or not you made it." And that day I had tryouts for high school hockey, and so I was checking my phone off and on throughout the day, and as soon as I got ready for tryouts, I checked my phone and my phone was ringing. I go, oh no, this is probably them. So I grabbed my phone and I ran up to my coach's office and sat in there and answered the phone, and they told me, you made it, like we're super excited to have you and everything. And just I was in such shock, and I was absolutely like so happy I made it. And it was just such a confidence booster, and just everything. It was so awesome to be able to hear that I made it.
Definitely. That tryout, you probably killed it after getting that
Yeah,
news.
yeah, for sure. Yep.
What's the selection process like? I'm just curious about that. Like, where do you start off? Like, what camps do you go to? And, like, where do they
Oh,
evaluate your development?
yeah. So it starts off. Well, it starts off in you try out in your district or your section or whatever. So we had to drive down to Owatonna and try out there, and then from there you would go to a team and you would try out with the team, and then they would individually pick girls on the team. And then after that, you'd make it to 54s. And then after 54s, you'd make it to like natty camp or under 18 camp, depending on if you got the bye or not. And I ended up getting a bye, so I made it to the under 18 camp. And from there, you were just placed on a random team, and you played in like a tournament kind of thing. And that's where most of the USA scouts kind of were watching, but they were watching throughout the whole thing. But that's kind of where they were at. And then from there was Lake Placid. So the first round of Lake Placid. And then after that was the team. So we had at Lake Placid was a bunch of like scrimmages and practices, and they evaluated us from there. And then once that first week was done of evaluating, they came out with like who was going to be on the Lake Placid team, and I made it there. So then we played a 3-game series against Canada that next week. And then from there, they evaluated and then kind of watched throughout, like, I think Elite League 2. And then that's when they picked the team. So,
And how did you handle the pressure of knowing that the scouts are watching you practice and play? And what was your mindset throughout that process?
I had always had the mindset of, like, just staying positive no matter what. Like, if I made a mistake or something, or I went out and maybe didn't have the best shift, I just said to myself, like, you're going to come back harder. You're going to make the right play. Like, just, like, knowing what I did wrong, I knew what I did wrong, and I learned from it, and then I just kind of let go of it. And obviously, like, that next shift got up and was like, here, I'm going to do this. Like, I'm going to go out there and kill it. You know what I mean? Like, just don't have too much pressure on yourself. Play light, play free, and play, like, have fun. Because whenever you're having fun is when you play the best.
Now, you also got to play with some of your future teammates with Duluth. You played with Katie Davis and Claire Van Weeren, who's a good friend of the podcast. What's it like playing with some teammates what's it like playing with those players, knowing you're going to be teammates with them in the future? And how does that help your hockey development, I guess, when you're in that tournament?
Yeah, for sure. It was so awesome playing with them because obviously I know I was going to college with them next year. They're so fun and such nice girls, but they truly do like push me. They both have the speed, the physical play to the game. They have the hands, like everything about them. They're just amazing players, and being able to play with great players like that just helps push you each and every day because when you go in the corner, say you're going on a one-on-one with Clara, like I know that she's going to make me better when I go out there because she's just such an awesome player and she pushes me. So I'm super excited to be able to go to college with her and have some fun. So
Yeah, no, she was a stud this year. I don't know if you watched some of the
yeah,
Frozen Four, but do you try to evaluate part of her game as a defenseman to help your defensive abilities get better, I guess?
yes, I do. I just noticed that she's just such a gritty player. Like she never gives up, and that's one thing that I want to add to my game is like in college hockey, if you play aggressive and gritty and never give up and just keep going, like you're gonna have success. And that's like one huge thing that I see in her game is she's just such a workhorse. Like she's gonna go in that corner and she's gonna come out with the puck because she's so gritty and will not like give up at all. So I'm super excited to play with her and
Yeah, Katie Davis is obviously from Edina, played with Edina. You guys were kind of rivals in high school. Is it
yeah.
going to be cool to be her teammate now?
Yes, it will be so fun. I love Katie. She's such an awesome player too. She's small, kind of like me, but she's very feisty in the corners, and she's also such a great player. And she'll come out with the puck too. Like even though she's small, she's gonna come out with that puck. She's very aggressive and gritty and strong. So.
Definitely. Now, what was your reaction when Kiara Zanin got that overtime goal, and what was going through your head? And was it similar to when you scored that overtime goal with Farmington when you were in eighth grade?
Yeah, it was for sure great. It was way, way, way more crazier than scoring in eighth grade. When I saw that puck go in the net after she shot it, I was like, oh my gosh, like that's it, it's a goal, it's in. Like I just couldn't, I don't know. It was just everything was going to my head and I was like, oh my gosh, like we're world champions. And like just the thought of that was going through my head like repeatedly and just like the excitement on everyone's face. Like I don't know, it was such a cool feeling. Just like butterflies in your stomach and I was tingly all over, just like oh my gosh, the adrenaline was going and everything. It was such a crazy feeling.
So we're now in the non-hockey segment of the podcast where I ask you some non-hockey questions. My first question to you is, who is the funniest teammate you have at Farmington?
Um, I think the funniest teammate I have at Farmington is probably Liv Hellison because she's always the life of the party in the locker room. She always has ox and she's always dancing to her own music and cracking jokes before the game. And she just brings that fun energy to the game. And yeah, she's just the funniest one, probably.
What type of music does she play?
She loves her rap. She
That's
loves her
good.
rap.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Is there like any country music? Because from some of the Minnesota players I talked to, it's a big country place. I didn't really expect that, honestly.
No, yeah, she plays some country once in a while, but it's mostly rap. She likes her
Nice.
rap.
What's your favorite type of music to listen to?
um, I would say country too. I love Morgan Wallen. I like Luke Combs, um, Luke Bryan.
Nice. Is it
Yeah.
as a country fan, is it like tough to hear some of the rap music, I guess, in the locker room because you just want your country to focus on the game? Because I know some guys on some of my former teammates were kind of like that.
Um, I mean, sort of, but at the same time, I kind of adjust to it. I just have fun with the rap and just have fun in the locker room with the girls because that's what gets me going for the games, gets me hyper and gets me
Mhm.
going. So
Well, for me, I'm lucky because I love both hip hop and country. But I know some people who are huge country fans and they just can't listen to hip hop, and then it's the opposite. There's some huge hip hop fans that hate country music. So I wish like
yeah,
people would be more, I guess, on the same page when it regards to the music. So that's why it's a controversial topic in some locker
yeah,
rooms, which I find interesting.
yeah, yeah.
Now, besides yourself, who has the best style on the team at Farmington?
um, I'd probably say Jaden Seifert.
Nice.
She always has like the smallest things that she's worried about. Like she'll always be like, oh, I need to pick out my earrings and my necklace and stuff. So she's always worried about how she looks, but I like her fashion.
That's
So,
awesome. Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
ooh, that's a tough one. Probably, um, probably Kaprizov because he's such a great player that plays for the Wild, and just to be able to have like lunch with him and talk to him about like hockey and just anything like in general would be cool because he's just such a unique player and he's he's unreal and I love watching him play hockey. So I'd love to be able to go out to lunch with him.
That's
So
awesome. Is it good to, is he, I haven't really watched too many of the Wild game. It's just weird because the NHL is so divided because, as a Bruins fan, you're watching really the Bruins only play like 6 teams this year because of the way the divisions work. So how has he helped the Wild this year? I'm curious about that because everyone's been talking about him. I saw that movie made the other night and it was just insane to watch.
yeah, no, he brings so much to the team. He really does a really good job of kind of controlling the play. Um, he creates space and creates lanes for his teammates, and he's just such a great playmaker. But at the same time, he can take it to the end and finish it himself, which is so awesome. He for sure adds a lot to the offensive play for the Wild. Defensively, yeah, he's pretty solid. I mean, he's pretty. Yeah, I don't. I mean, defensively, I mean, he's just solid all around. He's just a solid player in
Yeah,
all
definitely.
three. So,
Are
yeah,
you a
he's
Wild
huge.
fan?
Um, if I'm being honest, I haven't been in the past, but this year I have been just because of him and like just yeah. So I mean, I'm a Wild fan now. So.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, I know they're in the
Oh, yeah.
playoffs this year. Do you think they have a chance to win the cup? And what's your Stanley Cup predictions, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say they're not going to win it, but I do think they have a decent chance at winning it. I think that they're going to have to play like absolutely perfect,
Hmm.
but they can do it, but I mean, it's going to be really tough.
Yeah,
You got a
definitely.
lot of teams out there. So,
I think that Minnesota could definitely be the spoiler team that like could upset like one of the top teams in the West Division. I can definitely see that. I obviously as a Bruins fan, I think the Bruins are going to win after Taylor Hall coming to the team, but I'm very very biased. I will admit that. I don't know, probably Colorado. I feel like they're every year they always have a really solid team, but they never seem to get the
yeah,
job done.
Colorado has been great.
So I feel like
Mhm.
this year, they have one of the best defense cores. They have McKinnon, who is super fun to watch play for myself, and I feel like they definitely have a chance, the best chance, in my opinion, to win the Stanley Cup this year.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yep, Colorado has been very solid this year.
Hmm.
Very solid.
I
So.
guess for my lunch, I would probably choose Austin Matthews, another NHL player. Love watching him play. He's an absolute stud for the Maple Leafs, and I just would ask him about like his hockey skills and like how he does pulls off some of the moves he does, but also about his fashion style as well. Because in my opinion, he has the best style in the NHL. I don't know about yourself.
Yeah, he does have some good style.
Now, what is your biggest pet peeve?
That's a good one. Probably my biggest pet peeve is whenever I'm eating with someone, if they like are eating with like a fork or a spoon and they grind their teeth against the fork or something. That's probably one of my biggest pet peeves. And chewing loud or chewing with your mouth open. I hate that. I hate when people chew with their mouth open.
Hmm.
It's very annoying.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you on that. I've never seen someone grind their teeth on a fork though, so
Like where they put it in and just motion.
I've never
And
seen that
then
before,
you've
honestly.
never seen that before?
No, maybe I'm crazy, but I just haven't seen
No, some people do that, and I'm like, stop.
it. Yeah, no, it's crazy because I think you notice it more when you're at lunch, especially in high school, because everyone's sitting in the same
Yeah.
spot, and you're just looking around. You see some people with their chewing with their mouth open or chewing very
Yep.
loudly. It's like, oh my gosh, like you want to go crazy, but you can't.
Yep, for sure.
I guess my biggest pet peeve is bad drivers. That really bothers me. Just when people just swerve around you in the highway, it's like, what are you doing? Like you're gonna get there at the same time you were gonna make there without the swerving. So that's my opinion on my pet peeve, I guess.
Yep, I would agree with that too. I have some road rage sometimes.
Oh, I do too, but I just keep it inside. I never do it with like a passenger though. I know how to contain it, but when I'm by myself, it can get pretty loud in the car.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, what is the most interesting thing you have seen or read this week?
Um, that one's a tough one. Um, Actually, not a few days ago. When was it? I saw a guy walking around with like this unicorn jump like onesie on, this pajama onesie. He
Hmm.
had a unicorn onesie on walking around, and he was at CVS, and I don't know what he was getting there, but he was walking in a unicorn onesie.
Hmm.
I don't know what he was doing, but that's probably the interesting thing I've seen this week.
Yeah, I guess for myself, I learned about the photosynthesis in science class. I know this might be a bit random for some people listening, but it's cool because plants get sugar from the Calvin cycle. I learned about that and how plants need soil and sunlight to grow, which I thought was interesting. And I learned about the why it's important to sleep for 9 hours a day because of some of the things it can cause. So I definitely need to work on that with my sleep habits because I struggle with that. So those are the two
Yeah,
biggest interesting things I learned. I know it's kind of boring for some people, but I thought it was really interesting.
yeah, sure.
Now, back to some hockey questions. Now, my first question to you is what advice would you give a younger player who's trying to make it to D1 college hockey?
I would say to never give up on your dreams and to it's making it to that next level is for sure a sacrifice, and it's either some people think of it as a sacrifice that may suck or one that may be like, oh, I want to sacrifice. And I think it's good to look at it like, yeah, I want to sacrifice this because hockey is really important to me, and it always has been. So I think that advice I'd give to the younger girls is just to always work hard and always work on yourself, and don't worry about what other people are saying, and take that process of talking to these college coaches as an opportunity to like just be better and everything. Like it was so awesome to go through that um process and talk to all these college coaches. Like it's honestly kind of really cool. Like not a lot of people your age get to do that, and so don't take that for granted, and just always just have fun, don't be nervous when they're at their game. Like go out there and have fun, show off your skills, show off what kind of player you are. Don't be nervous and play your game because you know how to play. So
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more about the sacrifices. I think a lot of people don't realize how big of a time commitment it is to play Division I college hockey. Like I know for myself, I missed a lot of school dances, a lot of school activities, and time with friends, just working out and training. So I think that's something people don't realize, and that's why I love talking to players like yourself, just because people don't realize the time commitment that you guys put in, and it's cool to hear
yeah,
your experience and how the hard work pays off.
yeah, for sure.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey, in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think that we should I think that there should be a lot more women's coaches. I think that would help a lot. And seeing like if you look and watch, like there's not that many girls that coach boys hockey. And honestly, I think that it wouldn't be a bad thing if we started coaching boys hockey more because connecting boys and girls hockey will make girls hockey grow even more, because I think that the feedback that they can give to us and the feedback we can give to them will make each league grow even more. I also think that I just think that people need to be more we need to be more heard. Like, for an example, like seeing that women's worlds being canceled was absolutely heartbreaking, even though I'm not on the team. Like, these girls are putting in effort, and they're literally they're sacrificing so much to be better and working out every day and eating right every day, getting sleep every day. They're committed to do this, and they're is so excited to go play, and all of a sudden it just gets canceled. It's just so disappointing, and it sucks. It's hard to see that, even though I'm not on the team. It's heartbreaking, kind of.
Especially with all the sacrifices they had to make because of the pandemic. Like, that's something I didn't
Yeah,
realize, just the quarantine periods, because I know Team USA was arriving to Nova Scotia while they heard the news that the tournament was
yeah,
going to be canceled. So I definitely understand where you're coming from on that. And hopefully they can reschedule and have the tournament happen this summer. But it was definitely tough news. And I respect all the players that are coming out and speaking their minds on this issue when it regards to women's hockey.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Would you ever coach boys hockey after your college hockey or hockey career is done?
I mean, yeah, I could see myself coaching boys hockey for sure. Um, yeah, I honestly would love to. It would be I mean, it would be tough because I know guys are a lot more kind of. Sometimes I hear some bad things about maybe coaching guys, but I mean, I would totally love to go coach guys hockey, for sure.
I don't know if have you is there a difference playing with boys versus girls when it regards to hockey? Like, just the
Um,
mentality or just the playing style, I guess?
yeah, obviously, I think that the boys are a little bit more stronger than girls. Obviously, they have checking, which is a bit of a difference because girls can't check. So, I mean, but other than that, we girls can keep up with guys, I think. I don't
Mhm.
think that it's a huge gap. The only difference is our strength and
Mhm.
size, maybe. I mean, obviously, yeah, the guys are maybe a little bit more taller, more broader than girls, but I think that the girls can keep up with the guys.
Now you're talking about how you wanted to see more women head coaches. Your head coach, Maura Crowell, is going to be your head coach next year with Duluth, and obviously she coached the U18 team as well. What's she
Yeah.
been like for your hockey development when you've had the chance to play under her, and talk about her as a coach as well?
Yeah, no, it's been so awesome to play with her. I love Mara, and she honestly being able to play and be her athlete and her coaching me those 2 weeks in Slovakia, I came back an even better player within just 2 weeks. Like, the her coaching is unreal, and I'm just so excited to go play with her because she's just such an awesome person, and she knows the game. Like, she's so smart, and I'm so honored to be able to have her as my coach.
Now, do you have any shout outs you'd like to give and your friends, family members, or teachers, or anyone in particular during this podcast, I guess?
Yeah, I'd like to give a shout out to Winnie Bro, Jordan Gates, my coach Holmes, Farmington, and then just the Farmington squad, the Farmington girls hockey team. I mean, I grew up with them, and they're just so awesome, and I'm gonna miss playing with them.
Hmm.
They're all my friends, and they're my family. So, but yeah.
Well, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Brenna. I really appreciate it. Good luck for the rest of the school year. Enjoy graduation. That's super fun, even though it's during a pandemic. And I look forward to watching you play next year with UMD. It's going to be awesome. And unbiased opinion, but you're already my favorite freshman for next year. So I just wanted to let you know that.
Awesome, thank you. It was good to see you.
Now, one question I like to ask after